If the frame hasn't already been installed on the door, it might come in 3 pieces, 2 longer lengths and a short one for the header. You put those together with nails or screws, what have you, and then you take it inside and install it on the door frame on the inside of the book. So this is the frame now brought in, and we're just going to install it onto the existing door frame by way of these screws. So just screw it on like that, make sure the dimensions are correct, so whatever your width is here should be the same at the bottom. Likewise, the height from here to the floor and here to the floor, same dimensions. So we'll go ahead and we'll screw that in, and then we'll get to the screen. With 4 vertical parts, 3 horizontal parts. There's the cartridge, the housing, slide bar cover with the magnet attached, and the catch frame. Then we have the top rail inner guide, bottom rail which is flat, 2 end caps for the top rail, anti-lift stop, top rail guides, and the screws. Everything you need to install the screen. First part that goes on is going to be the top rail, and we're going to apply the end caps of the top rail, one on either side, and they're adjustable, so if you have a little bit too much space you can adjust it outward or inward. And then the next piece that goes on is the top rail guide. The top rail guide goes in this notch here, and the flat side goes to the outside, the hollow to the in, and you just guide it along like this until it gets into the notch, and then push the other leg in like that. And you're going to have one for either side, front and back. Same thing, drag it along until it goes into the notch, and then push it and get that other bottom leg in there. So now we're going to install it onto the door frame that we previously installed. And you're going to put it to the hinge side and screw it like this. And then extend this end cap over to close off any gaps. Next screw. And one more. This is the top rail inner guide that fits up inside the top rail, and there's a hump in the center of it, as you can see, and that hump needs to be facing upward inside. But to insert it, you turn it sideways, put it inside, and then turn it, and then it will rest on the nylon pile that's in there and the recesses of the edge of the top rail. So once that's in, we can move to installing the housing, which fits inside the top rail all the way up and then down onto the surface at the floor. And we can put the screws in, hold it in place. Should be 5 screws approximately. And you want to make sure that it's perpendicular with the opening here. So you have the same reveal top to bottom. It will look a lot better and probably function better. So then we put the screws in all locations. There should be 5 screws as mentioned earlier. And just make sure it's secure so that when you operate the screen, it stays where it was intended to be. And once you have that housing in, you're going to want to dust off the floor a little bit, because the next part that goes down is the bottom rail. The bottom rail is taped down in place. Take the backing off the tape. There's an arrows at one end, and then it widens all the way through to the other side. The narrows goes down into the housing, and there's a score line in the center of the bottom rail. Likewise, a score line in the center of the housing. I'm going to match those two up. And push it down and hold for about 10 seconds or so. And the tape will take to the wood and hold in place. Next is the cartridge. So this is the cartridge, the main component. We have the catch frame here. Put it on that side. And then this is the slide bar cover. And to remove it from the bottom, pull it off the bottom of the cartridge like that. Set it aside. Then we're gonna put the cartridge in. Remove the blue tape. Holds it together. Keeps the wires in place. And you'll find a gang of wires like this. And you can see it's what we call the roller piece here. And you want to keep the wires tight, holding them like this so they don't blow away, especially if there's wind. And at the top, there's a V shape cut out in the top cap of the sliding bar, and you want to make sure the wires are all coming through there nicely. If you have one that's gone astray or if they're off to the side, you're going to have a problem. Bring them like that and put them through the center, and now you're ready to pop it in. So you're going to start by putting the top portion of it into the housing, up into the top rail, and then down onto the floor or the bottom rail. And make sure you push it down all the way, and then insert it until it clicks in place. That's now in a secure position. The roller piece has a neck on it like that, and that neck fits into the slot in the top of the catch frame cap. You'll put it in there first like this, and then to snap it in, put your thumb right over top of it and just go like that. If you try and push it from here, you might break the neck off of the roller piece, and that would be a bit of a problem. So now you can put it up inside the top rail. So it should come down on top of the bottom rail. You just center it to the bottom rail like that, and then we can start putting screws in the catch frame to secure it in place. Best to start at the bottom so that you know that, and work your way up. If you start at the bottom and then go to the top and all over the place, you might end up with it not fitting properly at the end of when you get to the middle. Just try and go slow like that. You don't have to worry about these wires hanging down. They'll be adjusted in the next step. 6 screws on the catch frame, bottom to the top. Make sure they're all in there nice and tight. Okay, now we're going to adjust the wires, and you're going to grab the gang or group of wires like this with your finger from in between the top 2 screws, black screw, silver screw. Grab them, pull them down so that they vanish inside the top rail. Loosen only the silver screw here, and just a little bit, loosen it off and drag it down. Loosen it off and drag it down so the wires are now taut. And then you want to drag it across the thing several times until the wires find their final resting place. Make sure that there's no gap, or that the gap at the top is the same at the bottom. So if you have an inch at the top, you should likewise have an inch at the bottom. There may be a slightly larger gap in the center, but that's fine because once we put the sliding bar on, it's going to take care of that. If you find that it's a little bit too loose, you can tighten it up again, moving it only this bottom screw here, or the silver screw, 1/8 of an inch at a time. Each time you move it, up or down, 1/8 of an inch each time, and then back and forth. I'm going to check the wires to make sure that they're not over tight, or that they're, so if you're able to bend it a little bit with just a small amount of pressure, that's fine. If it's not bending at all, in particular the top one, then you want to go to not this silver screw. There's only 2 silver screws. There's the one with the gang around it, and then there's one that has an individual wire. And that individual wire is the wire at the top of the mechanism, the whole system. So if it's too tight, you can just back this off by, say, about 1/8 of an inch, and then back and forth 3 times. And now we've got a little bit more movement there, so that's perfect. So now we're going to install the sliding bar cover. And what you want to make sure is that you have the right orientation of the magnet. So there's a magnet on the catch frame and a magnet on the slide bar cover. Just bring the slide bar cover over to the catch frame and make sure it's going to stay there. So you know that you have the right orientation, the plus and minus of the magnets. So then, however you're going to place this on the cartridge, like this, with the magnets facing in the correct direction, you're going to put this anti-lift stop. And the anti-lift stop is going to be on the inside channel, not the outside, but the inside channel of the sliding bar cover. And it comes in 2 pieces. You can see how they're kind of loose like that. And what you'll do is you're going to take the anti-lift stop and fit it to the slide bar. Like that, slide it into the channel, down a little bit, put it on the base of the sliding bar like that, bring it over like this, and then you're going to bring it up to about 1/16 of an inch away from the top rail guide that we previously installed. So about 1/16 of an inch like that. Then you're gonna snap it in place like that, and then apply it by pulling out the cartridge like this a little bit, putting it on the bottom, base over here, and then fingers in behind, palm in the front, and squeeze until you get to the top, and you'll hear the final click like that. Once you're up there, now you got it. And that's about the bottom rail of our foldaway screen is very low profile. It's only 1/8 of an inch tall, so it doesn't pose any tripping hazards. It's good for people who are on mobility devices, and it moves nice and quickly.